Here are 5 solo podcasters who are successful. So I did a content piece related to can solo podcasting be successful? And I said yes. And now I want to back that up. I gave ways to make it successful, but now I want to show you some examples, talk about them, and that'll hopefully emphasize the point that you could start a solo podcast with just your microphone and you can get right going. It's not too difficult. So here are 5. Now there are many, and these are the ones that obviously stick to my mind, and I didn't really do much research into it. These are just the ones that popped up, and I'm thinking, yeah, they're actually pretty good in their own way. So here we go. Again, not everyone's going to be a fan of these, but that's okay. These are just examples. Bill Burr, he's a comedian, stand-up comic, and he does a podcast called the Monday Morning Podcast. He's really just talking about things that are happening in his life, but they range in length, usually about an hour, maybe even longer. But he's been doing this, and he puts it up on YouTube, and he's got it other places for streaming and whatnot. And he's a funny guy to many people, and he's using podcasting as a way to kind of build his brand. So this is like a nice little tool. It's like an add-on tool for him. And he's absolutely getting viewers. He's getting a following through this podcasting. And it's like a look inside his life. So this is an example. Like if you're an artist, or you're maybe even like a businessman or something, or businesswoman, you could do like an inside look of your life and just talk about like your day and publish it. And maybe if it's funny, then that could be helpful too. But that's Bill Burr. He's got a podcast. So there's one example. Next example, Seth Godin, and his podcast is called Akimbo, Akimbo. And it's kind of like educational marketing, educational philosophy. And he's basically just talking about some ideas. Usually it's just like one idea, 10 to 30 minutes, and he's just talking about it. And it's a little bit philosophical, but it definitely applies in terms of marketing, in terms of business, and it's doing very well. It's got great reviews on Apple, and obviously, again, Seth Godin, just like Bill Burr, they've got like this following already, and the podcasting is like an add-on tool. But the fact is, they're literally doing it by themselves, solo, and that's it. Like, they don't have a huge production crew. They might add like sponsors and ads just to monetize it, but they're not doing interviews. They're literally just talking. So this is educational marketing. And anyone who knows Seth Godin, he's got a blog that he writes daily on, and he has many books. So he's an author, speaker, public speaker, just an all-around intelligent individual, and tremendous valuable educational content. And that podcast is Akimbo. Definitely worth checking out. Next one, I know this one's kind of debatable, but I wanted to put it up here because it has a unique approach to it. So this one is Lew Later, and it's Lewis from Unbox Therapy. He's created this sort of tech news podcast where it's basically him reading tech news, or him talking about technology and news related to that. Now, he does have like a side producer, and he's sort of talking with him, but for the most part, Lew is basically talking the whole time about technology and news. And he's making a tremendous following out of it. Although he's got millions and millions of followers on YouTube already from Unbox Therapy. So he's basically taking his following. Once again, we're seeing people just adding on podcasting as a way to leverage their brand. He's just taking this podcasting as an add-on and having his Unbox Therapy fans obviously checking out his tech news insights. So it's just his opinions that he's sharing. But literally, he's just reading out the news and sort of adding his own thoughts on it. And he's got kind of his sidekick in the background, Willie. And they'll kind of... it's mostly just Lew talking, though. So that one's a little bit more debatable as to whether you could include it. But I like it. It has a bit of an interesting spin to it. So I would consider it like anyone could do a solo news opinion piece for podcasting. Next one is Hardcore History with Dan Carlin. He's talking about a lot of history. I haven't really listened to this in depth, but he does have some serious long form podcasting. He's just talking about history. He absolutely loves history. And this is a very popular podcast. For anyone that wants to learn about history, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. Definitely one to check out. And then the last one that I just wanted to bring up, Emma Chamberlain. And she's got a podcast. She's kind of like a millennial. Oh, she's this millennial. And basically, she's just talking about her day, the same as she was doing on YouTube. So on YouTube, she became very popular. She won a bunch of awards through YouTube. And seriously successful YouTuber. And once again, using podcasting as a way to leverage her brand. And perhaps she's got a number of different businesses as well. She's got like a coffee business. But this podcast, it's called Anything Goes with Emma Chamberlain. So, again, she's using her huge sort of following to build this one up. But the fact is, she's a young millennial, kind of talking about very relevant topics and sharing that on the podcast. So she's kind of just talking it up. She's obviously very entertaining to a lot of people. And it's kind of like diary format. Diary/journal, and it works. People are listening. So these 5 podcasters, they're doing things solo, and they're successful. Now, I would mention that only one out of these has truly sort of made podcasting the success, like a big part of the success, without any other additional stuff. And that would be Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. Like, he really made his podcast a success without a bunch of other things sort of happening. Whereas all these other ones, they're kind of like YouTubers or bloggers to start, or comedians, and they've used their platform to leverage their popularity on podcasting. But I like Dan Carlin as an example of someone who's just putting out tremendous informative educational content and able to create this podcast. So, but the fact is, they're doing this solo and it's working. People are listening. People are tuning in. People are checking it out. The eyeballs are there. So yes, that just shows it can be successful. Okay, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time. Bye.